All right, fellas, live, ladies too. Hopefully, everybody had a wonderful weekend of NBA DFS. It was just nice. I know we went on and on at the end of the members only video to get like good NBA basketball. We had some real good games, including my Bucks going to OT with the Heat. It's fun, man. I love the NBA playoffs. They are just such good games to watch.
Yeah, they really are. We got two more tonight. Nice weekend full of 8 games, four each day. And man, the nice thing about the first round, even though it's not like the best teams playing, is that you got so many games
For sure. Makes for better DFS, I'll tell you that much.
for sure.
All right, let's try not to pick anybody who gets into big time foul trouble today. And by we, I mean me, since I liked Kemba day one and he played like half of his minutes because he was in foul trouble. And then Embiid, I know he was big chalk yesterday, but the three quick fouls just was a bit of a hindrance to his score.
No doubt.
All right, guys. Also, we will be running Drafters Baseball today, guys. Who wants in? Come on, come take our money. I'm just lining up to give it away, but you got to play on Drafters in order to get it. There's a link to the website below. Our promo code is DFS5Pack if you're a brand new user. We play basically daily with our customers, and we have a blast every single time. There is no reason not to get in on this hot action.
I'm pretty upset, actually, we didn't do one on Saturday because on Friday, the last draft we did, I had a monster score. So we can talk about that later.
Yes, we can. All right, guys. Monthly and weekly memberships cover both sports, baseball and basketball. Great time to grab a monthly membership because, well, the NBA playoffs is about a month long. This would be a perfect time to get one, and you get double the sports. Subscribe to the station if you're new to it. Let's start running through some of the plays for today. I got Nurkic. You guys heard me I was all over him the other day. He was one of my favorite plays on the slate. Now he's less expensive. I don't understand why he's less expensive, but he is less expensive. This game is the slightly better one from a 30,000-foot view in a DFS perspective. Neither Portland nor Denver is physically capable of playing defense to the level of Milwaukee or Miami. So, the guys in this game, price is not included and everything like that, are just a little bit more desirable. You need size against the Nuggets because the future MVP and Nikola Jokic, is a big man. You need to put your girth and your size out there, whereas Nurkic comes in. He was an excellent play the other day. Left a little meat on the bone or a little left to chew still because he didn't even do anything in the first quarter. I swear when I checked his stats after the first quarter, he had about 5 DK points, give or take. So there's actually room for improvement right here. Nurkic is, for me, dollar for dollar, one of the top plays on the slate.
Yeah, ton to like about him. You mentioned it. He looks like at least $1,000 too cheap here. Only 2 games. There aren't a ton of guys like we love. And this is one of them. I think you just plug him in and call it a day.
Right. If I ran 3 lineups today, I'd play him in all of them.
Yeah, I'm with it.
All right. Next up, Goran Dragic. So if you guys remember game 1, I know not all of you guys see the member-only videos, but I like Dragic, but I was a little concerned because none had a pretty good role at the team this year. Last year in the bubble, Dragic and Hero were both monsters. And none was barely touching the court. And I wasn't sure what Spo's game plan was going to be. Well, we saw Dragic play big minutes game 1, very assertive and aggressive off the bench. Didn't do anything in the counting categories, which is kind of nice for a room for improvement today. He may not score it as well today, but he could easily get a couple more assists, a couple more rebounds, throw in a steal or something like that. So at 5,000, I think he's a solid play in any format. Kind of expect him to roll into about 30 DK points again. When it comes down to it, come playoff time in big games, they just trust him to make the right play, hit his threes and everything like that. This guy was excellent in the bubble last year too. So Dragic for me is just a solid play top to bottom.
Yeah, he is the prototypical cog in the machine, guy that you can just plug in as a filler piece in all formats. Again, I mentioned it on the last pick. There aren't a ton of guys we like on this slate. Nurkic is too cheap at 6,700. Not that Dragic is like too cheap, but he's just another really nice filler piece that you can plug in all formats.
Next up, today's cover boy, Brook Lopez. So we're going to double up on centers today, but you got to like both of them a lot. Mentioned it in game 1, Lopez was listed as a lock, had a solid game. And honestly, if you watched game 1 of Milwaukee versus Miami, with the defense and how the best defender on Miami is Bam Adebayo. Not saying Dragic isn't a good defender and Butler isn't a good defender, but Bam Adebayo is an excellent defender. He spends a lot of his time over on Giannis Antetokounmpo. What this does is free Brook Lopez up to be, more of a focal point on the offensive side of things. If I was the Milwaukee Bucks, and the thing I would take out of game 1 is maybe Lopez gives a few more touches down on the block. He was very effective. He only made one of his threes. There's room for growth right there. I don't think he even had any block shots, if my memory serves me correctly, which is also something he's really, really good at. He's only 4,600. He just seems like a solid filler piece. He played big minutes. The Bucks starting five, they don't run them huge minutes in the regular season, not just because they have a lot of games where they're up by a lot, but just because coach really watches their minutes. It's not the case in the playoffs. The starting five played a ton of minutes.
Yeah, as they're going to continue to play because this is, the playoffs. There's no tomorrow. You got to win all these games. Lopez, again, another guy that just seems too cheap. He was more expensive than this for most of the regular season. Now he's going to be playing more minutes. He's got a nice role with this team. Another guy that just looks rock solid on a slate without a ton of these guys.
Also, Giannis got a little banged up game one. He took a really tough screen from Bam, and it looked like it really messed with his left shoulder. So don't be surprised if Lopez is a little bit more aggressive on the boards today. He's usually more of a box-out guy, which is one of the reasons, not only do you see Giannis as one of the league leaders in rebounds, but they have really good rebounding guards in DiVincenzo and Pat Connaughton. Maybe Lopez is just a slightly more aggressive getting rebounds today so as not to tax Giannis. Possibly, if you're just looking for other little reasons to play him.
For sure.
All right, next up. He does this. All right, Michael Porter Jr., I know you are a big fan of MPJ. The Blazers made an effort in game one to try to make Jokic a scorer, right? That he really, the way he runs that offense was one of the reasons the Nuggets offense is so successful. They said, all right, we're going to make you score the basketball. Now he's capable of that. But it makes me wonder, if you're looking for another reason for Michael Porter Jr. today, maybe he takes on a little bit more of a shot creator role, try to switch things up a little bit, try to zig when they zag. Outside of that, though, there's still no Will Barton. Small forward is really weak, and Michael Porter Jr., for my money, just seems way too cheap at $7K.
Yeah, kind of like Nurkic here. Just no reason for the decrease in his price. I mean, I see no reason why he should be $7K on a slate where guys of his, similar DFS ability are $1,000, $1,500 more. Denver needs a must-win game for Denver. Cannot go down 0-2 at home. I expect a really good game from pretty much, all the main Nuggets here with, Porter being their number 2 guy right now with no Jamal Murray.
I think Blazers Nuggets is the closest series of the first round, in my opinion, as far as talent level of these teams. I think they're very, very close. I kind of expect this one to be a knock 'em out, drag 'em out series. I do think Denver wins tonight, but I think it's close. I think this series can go 7. And I think you're going to get 5 or 6 really close games.
Yeah, agreed. I definitely could see Portland winning this series, with no Murray, et cetera.
Oh, for sure. I'm not even sure that, in my money, is Denver even really the favorite?
Yeah, probably not anymore right now.
I think it's tight. Speaking of Portland, I got big game Dame right here. So there's a couple of studs on this slate, right? I think there's 3 guys above 10K or above 9,500 and above: Dame, Jokic, and Giannis. Well, I got Dame as my favorite play. One, as we mentioned before, this game is just better for DFS than the first game. The Heat put really tough defense on Giannis. They play him as well as anybody. And it's not that he can't get there. He's a little banged up after the other game. They play really good against him. Jokic, I think, is a solid play too. But we've kind of mentioned a couple centers already, which makes him harder to get to, which just makes Dame, for me, my favorite big money player right here. Again, I think most of the games in this series are going to be good games. I like Dame anytime the fourth quarter is tight, and I expect it to be tight. He is not, Dame hasn't always been bulletproof in the playoffs, but the moment is not too big for him. When he's faltered in the playoffs, a lot of times it's just because the team he's playing against is just way better. That's not the case here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, listen, this comes down to me, to the fact that we just don't have a ton of big money studs we like on this slate. I don't necessarily think Dame goes for 80 here, but you're not going to need it. We talked about that there aren't that many guys we love. With the filler pieces, we do like Brook Lopez, Nurkic, Goran Dragic, etc. It's easy to fit Dame. And as one of the best players on the slate, played really well in game one. I see no reason why you can't look here.
Yeah, it's a very winnable series for Portland. I think you see a really, really good Dame.
For sure.
All right, guys, that is what we got for today. I wish you all the best of luck. We'll be back a little bit later on to talk to you about some baseball. Go out there and get that money today, and easiest way to get it, buy a membership to the DFS 5-pack, and we will get a write-up out today for customers.
Thanks, guys.